I don't think we can attribute all the difficulties children face in the uh, upper levels of primary and middle school to this problem. This contributes substantially, one can see that, but there might be other reasons. Let's also note here that this is not only the theoretical concepts which have to be learned from someone else. There are some very simple associations which form the basis of learning. They also could be considered theoretical relationships in this sense, and they also cannot be learned. For example, no amount of exposure to printed material is going to going to make it possible for the child to learn the alphabet, because alphabet is an arbitrary relationship between a sound and a shape on the paper. There is no logical connection, so no experience can form that. Why we call this something, cur, why we make this sound when we look at a particular shape, there is nothing logical about it. This is pure association, and these associations have to be taught. So therefore, even in the early mathematics and early language, there is plenty that cannot be discovered on its own. I don't think number names could be discovered on its own. I don't think addition could be discovered on its own unless until you nudge the child towards that. So even in the early stage, there are plenty of things which is impossible to be discovered in that manner. Now the problem to my mind are, there are several, but I would mention two of them here. One, I would agree with you that not understanding the nature of teaching and the nature of different kinds of concepts which a child has to learn, and how experience could be transformed into knowledge. You see, there are stages in this. I have some experience. I have to articulate that into language, and I have to examine my articulation for its truth and for its justification. Then only becomes knowledge. So pure experience of something is not really knowledge. So when a teacher does not take these stages of say constructing knowledge out of experience, and that might require a strong insight in nature of knowledge as well as in the psychology of learning and the particular context of the child, then the child will have difficulty later on. Earlier, because the understanding is not developed, in the early ages or early learning, children have a large capacity to remember things. So their memory helps them in sort of showing that they have learned, but they are memorizing. I can say this might be rote learning. I make a distinction between memory and rote learning. Memory is a very useful kind of thing in education when it's used with understanding. And when memory is used without understanding, just for mugging up, this is rote learning. So in the early years of the school, children actually can do a lot of rote learning, and therefore teacher is led to believe that they have learned. But the further learning builds up on the early learning. And if these crucial bits of methods of forming beliefs, experience of questioning, articulating things into language, and concepts are missing, then the child will at one time face serious difficulty. So this is a mixed problem. Part of it lies in not understanding the psychology of learning, part of it lies in not understanding the nature of knowledge and therefore how knowledge is formed out of experience. Part of it is missing things like theoretical concepts, etc.